Hey there, everybody. Ooh. It is Friday again. And I gotta tell you, I'm so glad. This week has been crazy. Let me turn this screen off. This week has been crazy. Have you guys had a crazy week? Was it just me? Was there a memo that went out? Please make sure Allie has a crazy week. Thank you. So, for those of you who are new here, I'm Allie, the Canine Nutritionist, and today we are going to be discussing a whole bunch of topics that people brought up in the group. And as always, hey, there we go. People are tuning in. Hello! And as always, if you have questions, you can put them down in the comments section and I will answer them for you. So, if you guys will just go ahead and write me a comment so I can make sure that they're working, we'll go ahead and jump into this and get started. And if you hear any barking or playing, it's just the puppy down at my feet. She's playing. Hey, Ella said I can see you. Ella, hello. Okay, good. All right, our comments are working now. Excellent. Okay, I know sometimes Facebook wigs out. So before I get started, I like to go ahead and make sure everything's working. So thank you for your comment. Okay. For those of you who are new, my name is Allie. I'm the Canine Nutritionist, and we're going to be going over some of the topics that were brought up in my post today. But if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and I will answer them for you. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, my first topic, hey, there's Allison, hello! Allison's at work, shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, so our first topic that I'm seeing a lot of posts about in the group is transitioning your dog from one food to another. And there are some specific topics related to this question that we're going to touch on today. So, I have multiple guides inside of the group. If you do a search for transition or transitioning dog food, it will pop up with lots of little infographics that will help you transition your dog from one food to another. Now, specifically, a couple of people were having some challenges when it comes to loose stool or just straight up diarrhea. And it wouldn't be a live session if we didn't talk about poop. I feel like we talk about it in every live session, but it's something that everybody has to deal with. Allison's agreeing with me. It's just one of those things. We just have to talk about it. So, if you are transitioning your dog's food or your puppy's food, and you run into them having diarrhea, or even that the stool is just starting to get soft. I know, tell them. She's so fun. She's jumping all around. So, even if it's just starting to get soft, there are quite a few things that you can do to help them to kind of get back on track. And I feel like many people are stuck on the 7-day transition, right? You see it in vets' offices. You'll see it on the back of various pet products, right? It's like, oh, if you want to switch to this food, you can do it in 7 days, right? But that guideline is just a guideline. It does not apply to all dogs, and you know your dog best. So some dogs, they can transition very quickly. Some dogs, they need more time. They need 2 weeks. They need 3 weeks. It really just depends on the dog. So, what do you do if you start seeing loose stool? Well, whatever... Hey, what happened? Come here. Are you okay? What happened? Okay, I don't know what happened. She's okay, though. She's squawking around like something was trying to get her. Hey, are you all right? Did it try to get you? It did? Well, that's just terrible. Come here. Well, come here. You can say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay. Come here. Are you all right? Look at this little face. Look at this little face. Can you say hi to everybody? Say hello. This is Sabine. We call her Bean. Okay, you go play. You okay? There you go. Okay. So, she completely derailed me. Okay, if you notice that your dog is starting to have soft stool and you're in the middle of a transition, let's say you get to the point in your transition where you're doing 50% old food, 50% new food, and your dog starts to get loose stool. You're going to want to stay at that point in the transition for an extended period of time. Now, if your dog starts to get full-blown diarrhea, right, then you're going to want to kind of go back one. So you're back at the 25% new food, 75% old food. And that's one way to do it, is just kind of keep them in the transition phase longer, right, so that they can get used to the new food. The other thing you can do is you can add all sorts of supplements. You can do pumpkin powder. You can do pumpkin puree. You can add slippery elm powder, which will help rebuild that intestinal lining if they're, having some serious diarrhea. So you have some options. Firm Up is a really good option. And then, sorry, I got a pop-up on my phone. Okay, it went away. So Firm Up is a good option. They make these little tablets that are pectin tablets. It comes in a very big container, but it lasts for a very long time. Anyway, that one is really great. That clears up diarrhea very quickly. The other thing you can do is you can fast your dog for 24 hours or 12 hours or 6 hours, depending on the size of your dog. So if your dog is 5 pounds or less, I don't recommend that you fast them for any more than 12 hours. Obviously, if they become lethargic or they start having secondary symptoms to the diarrhea, you're going to want to consult with your vet. But for the most part, you can handle diarrhea at home. It's not that serious. If you know you're going to be transitioning your dog's food, and this was one of the points that somebody made, they were getting a new puppy, and their breeder is feeding a food that they don't want to feed because it's low quality. You know you're going to be getting that puppy, right? So what you can do is you can go ahead and order your supplements, order your supplies, make your plan on how you're going to transition that puppy to their new diet. Now, for the most part, if you are not an experienced dog owner, I do not recommend that you get a new puppy or a new dog and immediately transition them to a new food. Because dog owners that do not have as much experience have a tendency to totally freak out when their dog gets diarrhea, right? It's not fun. It's not fun for us. We have to clean it up. It's not fun for the dog. So if you are that person, totally okay, no shame. Wait and give your dog or your puppy 2 to 3 weeks to get acclimated to you and your schedule before you change their food. Now, having said that, if you have had puppies before, if you are an experienced dog owner or a breeder, I know we have many breeders in the group, you can absolutely transition your dog or puppy to a new food as soon as you get them. You just need to know what to look for, right? Any type of lethargy or lack of activity is usually a sign of a secondary problem, and you'll want to get that addressed with your vet. Okay. One of the other questions we got was, there's a lady in the group who has a 9-year-old dog, and she was like, hey, is it too late for me to transition my dog to a raw food diet? And luckily for her, the answer is no, it's never too late. It's never too late with some limitations. If your dog is incredibly old, meaning 16, 17, 18 years old, I don't recommend that you put them through a food transition, just because if they are old and rickety, then it just tends to be harder on their system. So it really depends on your dog and how they're doing in their later stages of life, right? I have worked with individuals who had working breeds who were, 15 years old and they still act like puppies. And they wanted to transition them to a raw diet. And I said, yes, absolutely. I've worked with others who have had 16-year-olds who are not doing well, have a lot of medical conditions, missing teeth, things like this. And for them, I don't recommend that they try to transition them to raw. At a certain point, you just have to ask yourself, what's it going to do for their quality of life if they get, like a week of diarrhea, right? At 16 years old, that's very hard on a dog's system. So just keep that in mind. But 9 years, perfectly fine, right? And you can transition to raw. You can do it slowly. You can start to integrate a lot of freeze-dried raw to begin with, right? To help with the transition. So yeah, so hey, we have had a whole bunch of people join. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Friday. Don't forget, I am going over the questions from my post that I made earlier. But if you have questions, please feel free to drop it down in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Okay, so that's where we are with food transitions. Let's knock that off the list. Okay. One of the questions that I get asked quite frequently is, why not Royal Canin? Why don't I recommend it? Why do vets recommend it? Why do breeders recommend it? The short answer is that I want you to go and look at the ingredients label. And then I want you to try to find the meat source in that ingredient label. And it's going to be challenging. For quite a few of their products, there is no meat. It's essentially like cattle feed. It's a lot of corn and wheat and a lot of things that are problematic for your dog or for dogs in general. So there are many, many reasons that I do not recommend Royal Canin, but in its simplest form, I want you to get used to reading the ingredients on everything. If it's a bag of food, a bag of treats, a supplement, it doesn't matter what it is, I don't want you to read or look at the front of that bag. That's where all the marketing lives. That's where all the pretty pictures live. They mean nothing. You're going to flip it over, you're going to read that ingredient list, and then you're going to decide, okay, is this a quality product? So, and we have people who post stuff all the time when they're out shopping. They're like, hey, is this good? What about these ingredients? If you take a look in the file section of the group, you will see that I have a list of problematic ingredients and various items to avoid. A lot of times, especially in treats nowadays, they are just pumping them full of sugar. Your dog does not need sugar, okay? Your dog does not need cane sugar. It does not need honey. It does not need molasses. It does not need any fructose. It does not need any sweetener of any kind, okay? For the most part, dogs are carnivores. They don't eat sugar. In their little food pyramid, there is no requirement for cookies, okay? So make sure that you are reading those ingredient labels. Okay, let's go back up and make sure we didn't miss any questions. Allison said, it's never too late. Allison said, we transitioned our 7-year-old and she took to it beautifully. I got my mom to switch her 9-year-old rescue and 11-year-old collie, and they are like puppies again. That is fantastic. You know, there is nothing on the market that compares to a quality raw or a quality cooked diet. It makes all the difference in the world. So, good for you, Allison, that you got your mom to switch. That's awesome. Okay, great. All right. On to the next one. If we don't have any more questions, don't forget you can write your questions in the comments below and I'll answer it for you. Okay. Next up, calcium for puppies. So, I spoke with an absolute sweetheart of a lady today whose Pomeranian puppy jumped down off of the couch and broke his leg. It was an accident. Accidents happen. And I wanted to use her example to kind of make it a teaching moment, because I'm finding more and more, especially since COVID hit and everybody went out and bought a puppy, and now all those puppies are old enough to breed and people are just breeding them willy-nilly, and they're not really preparing their puppy parents for life with those puppies. So one of the things that I want to recommend to everyone is, if your dog is under the age of 1 year, it doesn't matter if it's a puppy, it doesn't matter if it's a, or I'm sorry, not that it's a puppy, that it's small breed, medium breed, large breed, extra large breed, it doesn't matter. If they're under a year, do not put them on your bed, your couch, your chair. Do not let them get up on multiple levels of stairs where they can jump off, right? So this lady's concern was that the food was not providing the proper nutrition for her puppy, and her puppy had brittle bones. When actuality, it has nothing to do with the quality of food, and it has everything to do with the fact that puppies grow so much in that first year. And it doesn't matter what size they are. If they are jumping down off of furniture, or even falling down off of furniture, it is going to cause stress on those bones and their joints. So, please, 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 do not let your dogs who are a year or less up on the couch, on your bed, in a chair, right? Keep those 4 feet on the ground. Now, having said that, if you have a small breed or an extra small breed, I want you to keep them on the ground anyway. And I know I'm going to get flack for this because people love to put their dogs in their bed. If you are not actively holding your small breed dog, do not let them jump down off of the couch. If you want to get some of those stairs and you want to invest the time and energy into teaching your dog at 1 year or older to then use those stairs to get up and down off of furniture, then that is absolutely your choice. But you need to be very, very careful, because especially for small breeds, it's just not hard to break their bones. It's just not. Now, one of the situations, or one of the things that this lady brought up, was that she wanted to do a calcium supplement because she thought, right, okay, brittle bones, we need to add calcium because that's what we've been taught all of our lives, right? Drink your milk because you need the calcium, right? Well, that's all garbage. Do not supplement your puppy with calcium, right? Because what ends up happening is there's already calcium in their food. Puppies actually need a good bit of calcium, so puppy food has a tendency to have higher calcium levels anyway. Now, if you're supplementing calcium on top of that, what you're going to do is you're going to end up causing bone and joint problems, not to mention it's going to be harder on the liver and kidneys. So, you do not supplement with calcium if you're concerned about your puppy and their joint or bone health. You're going to want to do a joint or bone supplement that is not calcium based, right? So for example, I like to recommend the New Joint, which I have linked in the group in the featured section. It is safe for puppies. It comes either in a powder form so you can mix it into the food, or it comes in little wafers. I don't think I have it in here right now. Anyway, the little wafers, they're like this big. Dogs think that they're fantastic treats. They are so easy. Of all the supplements that I have used, it is the easiest to get your dog to eat it. So, and that's Nuvet, Nuvet. So, and I have it linked in the featured section of the group if that's something that you're interested in getting. So I would recommend something like that for puppies. Now, one of the things that there was a little bit confusion about, there was a post earlier in the group where someone was saying, hey, is this the calcium supplement that Allie uses for the recipes? If you go into the file section of the group, you will see there will be a whole big long list of recipes, and many of them are boneless. And what that means is for the calcium source, it's not bone, because some people are not comfortable giving raw bones to their dog. Now, if you'll remember, never give cooked bones. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so for those boneless recipes, you use a powdered calcium supplement. So she was asking if that was the powdered calcium supplement that I used, and I said yes. It is not a calcium supplement that you just give to your dog willy-nilly, right? It's a supplement that's part of a recipe, and there's a specific amount that you're supposed to use per that recipe, and it differs between the recipes. So you want to be very, very careful when you're giving supplements. You need to ask yourself, what is the goal of giving this supplement? If you're just giving 5, 6, 7 supplements just because they look good, or somebody was like, yeah, do this and do that and add this and add that, no. Because when the time comes and you actually need to be able to use those supplements, right, the body is already used to getting them every single day, and so it's just going to flush it out. Because whatever the body doesn't use becomes waste. So always, always, always supplement with a purpose. Okay, I got a question here. So let's do that. I'm gonna mark calcium off here. Okay, Stacy says, when you have to help puppies and mom by supplemental feedings, what do you recommend to use? Puppy formula, goat's milk, or homemade recipe? So there are a couple of different options here. For ease of the human, I recommend that you use something like Espalac, one of those puppy formulas, right? It comes in a powdered form, and you can either mix it with warm water, or you can mix it with goat's milk, and you can supplement puppies that way. Having said that, my very, very, very first question would be, if you are supplementing puppies, why? And this is where a lot of people have challenges, because they think, oh, the puppies, let's say one of the puppies doesn't gain weight, right? And for those of you who are not breeders, you weigh your puppies every day to make sure that they're gaining weight, because not gaining weight or losing weight can be a first indicator of a problem. So you're weighing your puppies every day, and one of them doesn't gain weight. They don't lose weight, but they're not gaining weight. So as humans, our first instinct is, oh my gosh, we got to get the puppy formula, make the bottle, we got to start feeding this puppy, right? Well, the reason why you don't want to immediately jump to that is because you can actually cause the mom's milk production to go down. So if you are supplementing a puppy, you need to be sure that you know why, right? they're having trouble latching, they're not feeding on their own, you're having to tube feed, whatever the case may be, you just need to be sure that you have a purpose for intervening. I have seen so many times that people are like, oh, well, you know, mom just wasn't getting enough sleep, so I decided that I would feed the puppies once a day, and then all of a sudden, right, now puppies aren't gaining weight, mom's not producing as much milk. That level of demand has to stay high for her to produce more and more and more and more milk for those puppies as they grow. So, and the other point that you had made was to help mom with supplementing feedings. So if you are talking about putting supplements into mom's food, that is a great idea. And if you want to do that, I highly recommend goat's milk, meat of any kind that your dog likes, whether it's chicken or beef. If they prefer it cooked, or if you've never done raw, you can absolutely do cooked, that's fine. Goat's milk, cottage cheese. Ricotta cheese is very high in calcium, which is good for nursing moms. So I would definitely go that route. I would be very leery of using a homemade recipe, Stacy, specifically because is it good enough? Does it have everything that they need? I am not one to use a powdered product if I don't have to, but I have seen some homemade recipes for puppy milk, right, for supplemental feeding, and I'm like, yeah, that's not enough. That's not good. So as much as possible, you want to do everything in your power to help mom, make sure she's producing enough milk so she can accommodate the puppies. Sometimes you have a huge litter, there's nothing you can do, you have to step in and supplement, in which case I would say, you know, make your life easier, go with a puppy formula and goat's milk. It'll relieve a lot of stress for you. That's a great question. Okay. All right. Christina said, what vaccines do you recommend? So if you do a search in the group, you will find Dr. Dobbs' vaccine recommendations, and he breaks it down for you based on risk and where you are. A lot of it depends on what your dogs are at risk for. I am not a fan of over-vaccinating, and I feel like it's really kind of out of control. For example, Bear is now, I think he's almost 13 years old. He is very, very old. And he is just too old to be getting a bunch of vaccines. I mean, if I got every single booster that they sent me a reminder card for, his poor body, like he to make a call based on where you live and what is around locally. For example, lepto, I don't recommend for anybody. There are a few cases where I have spoken to other breeders who are in high-risk areas. They take their dogs on hikes. They go out into the woods with their dogs, or they're hunting with their dogs, right? And at that point, I would say, okay, your dog is at risk, but their dogs are also adults. So lepto is one of those ones where if you can avoid it, I recommend you avoid it. But for the most part, if you just want to do like your core puppy shots and then kind of take it from there, right? You get your rabies. It really just depends on the dog. Smaller breeds have a tendency to take it really hard. So there are a lot of products on the market. Specifically, there's one from Adored Beast that they make to help dogs kind of cope with having to get all those vaccines. So definitely look into that. Okay, Stacy said, puppies haven't been born yet. Okay, good. Just a question, I had to be prepared to have stuff on hand if needed. Good. Excellent. You know, they have goat's milk at Walmart now in the milk section. It's usually like at the very end. So, yeah. What I do is when it gets close to time for mom to have the puppies, I'll just go buy like 4 cartons of it, put 1 in the fridge, 3 in the freezer, boom. Now you've got them on hand. So yeah, answered everything I was concerned about. You're the best. You're very welcome. If you think of anything else, put it down in the comments. That was a great question. Okay. Ella said, I know you mentioned high sugar in treats, and I have a puppy that I'm currently training. Hey, we love training. And I feel like I'm giving him so many treats. Yeah, that's it kind of goes with the territory. What do you recommend, especially for training purposes, where I would be giving multiple a day? Okay, I am currently training puppies as well, and I really love the Vital Essentials beef nibs. Having said that, do not buy the little, 6-ounce bag of treats that they offer. Buy the bag of food. It's the exact same product, but you get a big, huge bag. And the nibs are like this big. So it's perfect for training. Even if you were training small breeds, perfect for training. The nibs are very, very small. Some other things you can do, cook ground beef. Really mash it up so the pieces are small. Then lay it out on parchment paper on a cookie sheet, baking sheet. Put that in the freezer. Spread them out, right, so all the little pieces don't stick together. Freeze it. Then put in individual little snack bags. Put them back in the freezer. And now you've got little frozen nuggets of delicious beef treats. So those are also a really great option. Those are really kind of my go-to. And with the Vital Essentials, you can get that in a number of different flavors. So it doesn't have to be chicken. I have a tendency to go with beef, but they have a ton of different flavors. So your puppy is not going to get bored anytime soon. And it's a complete and balanced food all by itself. So there's no sugar, there's no flour, there's no, it's not a biscuit. So it's definitely a good option. So yeah, give that a try. And best of luck to you training your puppy. I know that can be frustrating. It sounds like Chewy.com delivered my packages. I think that's what Sue's just brought in. I heard it hit the floor. Okay. All right. Last but not least, topic for the day. We're going to, unless somebody has a question that they comment below, of course. I want to talk to you guys about CareCredit. I have been recommending this left and right to people for all sorts of different reasons. If you have a puppy, if you're getting a new puppy, if you have an adult dog, if you have 5 adult dogs, if you have a senior dog, if you're adopting a dog, whatever the case may be, I highly, 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 highly recommend that you apply for CareCredit. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get anything for making this recommendation, but what I can tell you is that if you have an emergency, it can be a lifesaver. Basically, it's a credit card with a set limit that is specifically for medical purposes. So there are more and more vets that are taking it, so you should check with your vet to see if they take it. Almost all of the emergency vets offices that I have seen accept it. And the big one is that emergency vet, because they require payment before they do anything to save your dog. So if you have a problem, right? And your dog needs life-saving care, you don't want to be on the phone trying to apply for a CareCredit card, right? And most people don't have thousands of dollars to just drop, right? If there was an emergency surgery, right, or something that was needed, it's best to just have it on hand. It doesn't hurt you to have it and not use it. And it's a great way, especially for those of you who are younger, if you're looking to build credit, because you can get approved for a set amount, and then they give you options to kind of postpone the interest so that it doesn't start for a certain amount of time. For example, you can do 6 months, no interest, 12 months, no interest, 24 months, no interest, right? And it gives you time to pay it off, which is great. So I highly, highly recommend that you apply for CareCredit. Even if it's just to have on hand in case of an emergency, it can be a lifesaver. So definitely check that out. Okay. Well, that is all the topics that I had for us today. If nobody has any questions, then I am going to jump off of here and go make a video about everything that I ordered from Chewy, because they had a bunch of stuff on sale and I needed some retail therapy. So I got lots of goodies. So I'll give you guys a second here just in case anybody has any questions. Okay. No questions? Going once. Going twice. I know. I tried to tell them. I'm trying to tell them to just give me some questions. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump off of here. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I will record this session and post it to my YouTube channel. So if you missed it or you joined halfway through, no worries. It'll get reposted tonight, because I know Facebook has a tendency to lose the live sessions. So don't worry if you missed part of it. And we will see you in the next live video. So be kind and rewind.